Khalifa's dreams crumbled like dry leaves underfoot. Her aspirations of becoming wealthy, attending university, and lifting her family out of poverty seemed further away than ever. The betrayal seared her heart, leaving a burning desire for revenge. In the heart of West Africa lay a vibrant village named Jakaranda, where traditions ran deep and the lush forests sang ancient songs. The village, surrounded by majestic baobab trees and vibrant wildlife, was a place where every sunrise brought the promise of a new day filled with hope and unity. The people of Jakaranda were known for their rich cultural heritage, their vibrant festivals, and their unwavering sense of community. Khalifa, a young woman of remarkable intelligence and strength, was born into this world. With her dark, piercing eyes and a smile that could light up the darkest night, Khalifa was the pride of her family. Her father, Jumo, was a respected elder in the village, known for his wisdom and integrity. Her mother, Zalika, was a skilled weaver, creating beautiful Kent cloth that was highly sought after in the market. Despite their skills and respect in the community, life was not easy for Khalifa's family. The income from weaving and Jumo's advisory role was often not enough to provide for their needs. Khalifa had always dreamed of breaking the chains of poverty that bound her family. She yearned to leave the village one day, to attend university, and to bring prosperity back to her people. Her aspirations were lofty but not unachievable. She spent her days working hard in the fields and her evenings studying by the dim light of an oil lamp. Khalifa, you are destined for greatness. Never let the darkness around you dim your light. These words echoed in Khalifa's heart, driving her to strive for a better future. But in every paradise there lurked a serpent. Badu, a man with a heart as dark as the deepest night, was known for his deceitful ways and insatiable hunger of power. His cunning and manipulation had brought him wealth, but at the cost of his humanity. Badu had always envied Jumo's respect and influence in the village, and his greed knew no bounds. Badu's rise to power began years earlier, when he managed to secure the most fertile lands through dubious means. He employed a small army of henchmen to enforce his will, spreading fear among the villagers. Those who opposed him often found their livelihoods mysteriously destroyed, their families threatened, or worse. Badu had created an atmosphere of silent terror, one that he controlled with an iron fist. Badu's methods were subtle yet devastating. He had a way of turning people against each other, sowing discord and mistrust. For example, he would manipulate his allies by playing on their fears and ambitions. One such instance involved Osei, a once loyal friend of Jumo who owned a successful cacao farm. "Ose," Badu had said one evening over a shared bottle of palm wine. "I hear rumors that Jumo wants to take over your farm. He's been speaking with the village council about new agricultural regulations that could ruin you." Osei, his face edged with worry, responded, "Jumo and I have been friends for years. Why would he do such a thing?" Badu leaned in, his voice dripping with faint concern. "Power changes people, my friend. If you're not careful, you might find yourself out of business. But I can help you. Together, we can ensure your farm remains yours." Through such manipulative conversations, Badu planted seeds of doubt and fear, turning trusted friends into suspicious adversaries. His words were like poison, spreading slowly until they took full effect. Osei, once a staunch ally of Jumo, began to distance himself, eventually siding with Badu in village matters. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the village gathered around the communal fire, Khalifa overheard a conversation that would shatter her world. Hidden in the shadows, she listened as Badu conspired with his cronies to bring about her father's downfall. Badu's cronies, men of low morals and high ambition, listened intently as Badu laid out his plan. "We need to discredit Jumo," Badu said, his voice low and venomous. "He's too influential, and his integrity makes him dangerous to our plans." One of the cronies, a man named Kofi, asked, "What's the plan, Badu?" Badu's eyes gleamed with malice. "We'll accuse him of stealing from the village's communal funds. I have already prepared forged documents and bribed a few council members. When the time comes, they will back our claims." Khalifa's heart pounded as she listened. She could not believe the extent of Badu's treachery. "What if the villagers don't believe us?" another crony, Ni, questioned. "They will," Badu replied confidently. "We'll make sure of it. Spread rumors. Tell everyone you know that you've seen Jumo acting suspiciously. By the time we bring the accusations to the council, the villagers will already be doubting him." The cronies nodded, their loyalty secured by Badu promises of wealth and power. The accusations against Jumo were both serious and damaging. He was accused of stealing from the village's communal funds, a charge that not only tarnished his reputation, but also left him ostracized by the very people he had served faithfully. Badu ensured that the evidence against Jumo was fabricated but convincing. The village council, under pressure from Badu and his allies, had no choice but to strip Jumo of his titles and excommunicate him. In a tense council meeting, the air was thick with tension. Jumo stood before the council, his grey curly hair shining under the harsh light, his sturdy frame straight despite the accusation. Jumo, the head councilman began, you have been accused of stealing from the communal funds. What do you have to say in your defense? Jumo's voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed his pain. I am innocent. I have served the village with all my heart. These accusations are false. Badu, standing in the shadows, smirked. He stepped forward, holding the forged documents. These documents prove otherwise, Jumo. They show transfers of funds to your personal account. The council examined the documents, murmuring among themselves. One of the bribed council members, Kojo, spoke up. I have heard from several villagers that they have seen Jumo acting suspiciously. Khalifa, hidden behind a pillar, watched in horror as the council members nodded in agreement. Her father's fate was being sealed by lies. The head councilman sighed. Jumo, the evidence against you is overwhelming. We have no choice but to strip you of your titles and excommunicate you from the village. Jumo's shoulders slumped, and he looked around the room, searching for any sign of support. Finding none, he turned and walked out of the council chamber, his dignity in tatters. Jumo, heartbroken and dishonored, retreated to the outskirts of the village. His once vibrant spirit was crushed under the weight of the false accusations. He spent his days in a small, decrepit hut, surviving off the charity of a few villagers who still believed in his innocence. Khalifa's dreams crumbled like dry leaves underfoot. Her aspirations of becoming wealthy, attending university, and lifting her family out of poverty seemed further away than ever. The betrayal seared her heart, leaving a burning desire for revenge. Khalifa vowed to bring Badu to justice, no matter the cost. Her journey began with a visit to the village elders, seeking their wisdom and guidance. They spoke in cryptic tones, their eyes clouded with age and experience. Justice is a river, one elder told her. It flows not straight, but winding, carving its path through rocks and earth. Another added, true strength comes not from the body, but from the spirit. You must be like a leopard, patient and cunning. Khalifa listened, absorbing their teachings, and began to form a plan. She started by gathering allies, those who had also suffered under Badu's deceit. Among them was Bako, a skilled hunter with a keen sense of justice. Zuri, a healer who had once been close to Jumo, and Ayana, a brave woman who had lost her husband to one of Badu's schemes. Together, they formed a coalition bound by a shared goal. Bako was the first to join Khalifa's cause. He had lost his father to Badu's machinations, a wound that never healed. Bako was known for his expertise in tracking and hunting, skills that would prove invaluable in gathering evidence against Badu. Zuri, the healer, brought wisdom and knowledge of the village's history and customs. Her insights helped Khalifa understand the deeper currents of village politics. Ayana, with her fierce determination and deep connections within the community, became the coalition's voice among the people. Each of Khalifa's allies had their own story of suffering at the hands of Badu. Baku's father had been a respected farmer who refused to bow to Badu's demands for a share of his harvest. In retaliation, Badu's men set fire to his fields, ruining his crops and driving him to despair. Baku's father never recovered from the loss, and his grief eventually consumed him. Baku had sworn to avenge his father's death ever since. Zuri's story was one of betrayal and lost friendship. She had been a close confidant of Badu in their younger days, unaware of his dark ambitions. When Badu began to rise his power, he used Zuri's trust to gain information about the village council's plan. When Zuri discovered Badu's true nature and confronted him, he turned the village against her, accusing her of witchcraft. Although she was eventually exonerated, the damage to her reputation was done, and she lived as an outcast. Ayana's husband had been a brave man who stood up to Badu's exploitation of the villagers. He led a small group of farmers in a protest against Badu's unfair practices. Badu, determined to quash any opposition, orchestrated a fatal accident that took Ayana's husband's life. The loss left Ayana devastated, but it also fueled her desire for justice. Khalifa knew that to defeat Badu, she needed to understand his mind. She spent months observing him, learning his routines, his weaknesses and strength. She discovered that Badu's power was rooted in his wealth and his ability to manipulate others through fear and greed. Khalifa realized that to bring him down, she needed to turn his own tactics against him. Her plan was meticulous. She started by planting seeds of doubt among Badu's closest allies, subtly revealing his true nature through carefully crafted rumors and strategic conversation. She exposed his lies and betrayals, slowly eroding the foundation of trust he had built. As the weeks passed, Badu's once loyal followers began to question their allegiance. Khalifa's strategy included attending village gatherings where she would share seemingly innocuous stories that hinted at Badu's treachery. "Did you hear about the missing funds for the new well?" she would say, her voice tinged with concern. "I heard it might not have been an accident after all." These words, coupled with Zuri's subtle support, began to sow doubt. Next, Khalifa orchestrated a series of small but significant victories for her coalition. They exposed Badu's illegal dealings to the village council, who began to investigate his activities. Each victory was a step closer to justice. But Khalifa knew the final confrontation would be the most challenging. One of the key moments in their campaign was when Bako uncovered a hidden ledger detailing Badu's corrupt transactions. The ledger was a treasure trove of evidence, showing bribes paid to officials and illicit profits from village resources. With this document, they could prove Badu's guilt beyond doubt. As they prepared for the final confrontation, Khalifa and her allies faced numerous challenges. Badu, sensing the growing opposition, increased his efforts to crush dissent. He spread false rumors about Khalifa, accusing her of being power-hungry and untrustworthy. He tried to bribe Bako, offering him land and wealth in exchange for his silence. But Bako, driven by the memory of his father, refused to be swayed. Khalifa also faced moments of doubt. There were nights when the weight of her mission felt too heavy to bear. She would sit by the river, listening to its gentle flow, and wonder if she had the strength to see her plan through. It was during one of these moments that her mother, Zalika, found her. "Khalifa," Zalika said softly, sitting beside her daughter, "you are stronger than you know. Remember, the darkest hour is just before dawn." Khalifa nodded, her resolve hardening. She knew that giving up was not an option. Too many people depended on her. She had to see this through, not just for her father, but for the entire village. The pivotal moment came during the annual festival of Jakaranda, a time when the entire village gathered to celebrate their heritage. Khalifa chose this moment to confront Badu, ensuring that the eyes of the village were upon them. She stood tall, her voice steady and clear, as she recounted Badu's crimes and the suffering he had caused. The villagers listened in stunned silence, their gazes shifting from Khalifa to Badu, who stood with a smug smile that slowly faded as the truth of her words sank in. Khalifa had planned every detail of this confrontation. She knew that merely accusing Badu would not be enough. She needed undeniable proof. As she spoke, Bako handed the incriminating ledger to the village council. The elders, upon seeing the evidence, exchanged glances of shock and outrage. "Badu," Khalifa said, her voice ringing with authority, "you have betrayed the trust of this village. You have caused untold suffering for your own gain. Today, your deceit ends." Just when it seems Badu might escape justice, Khalifa revealed her final card, a ledger she had obtained through her network of allies, detailing Badu's illicit activities. The evidence was irrefutable. The village council had no choice but to act. Badu's smug smile disappeared entirely, replaced by a look of shock and fear as he realized his empire was crumbling. In the days that followed, Badu was stripped of his wealth and power. His crimes laid bare for all to see. The village, united by a newfound sense of justice, worked to restore what had been lost. Jumo, though scarred by the ordeal, regained his dignity and respect. Khalifa's dreams of university and prosperity for her family were no longer distant. They were within reach. The journey had not been easy. Khalifa had faced numerous challenges and moments of doubt, but her determination and resilience had been there through. She had used her intelligence and strategic thinking to outmaneuver a man who had seemed invincible. Her story became a legend in Jakaranda, a testament to the power of justice and the strength of the human spirit. The council, having reviewed all the evidence, officially exonerated Jumo and reinstated his honor. They also decreed that Badu's wealth, gained through deceit, would be redistributed to those he had wronged. The community worked together to rebuild the projects that Badu had sabotaged, ensuring that the benefits reached all corners of Jakaranda. Khalifa's efforts did not go unnoticed. The elders, impressed by her courage and wisdom, offered her a scholarship to a prestigious university in the city. This was the fulfillment of her dreams. She accepted with gratitude, vowing to return and continue her work for the betterment of the village. Khalifa moved to the city, where she immersed herself into her studies. Equipped with a scholarship from her village, she had the opportunity to take lessons, study hard, and eventually apply for admission to law school. After a month of rigorous preparation, she passed the admission test with flying colors. Her parents, Jumo and Zalika, were incredibly proud of her achievements. Every weekend, Khalifa would return to Jakaranda, where she was warmly welcomed by her family and the entire village. The story of Khalifa and Badu became a part of Jakaranda's rich tapestry of tales, a reminder that even in the face of great adversity, the human spirit could triumph. And so, the river of justice continued to flow, winding its way through the hearts and minds of those who heard the story, carving a path of hope and resilience for generations to come. As the village celebrated their victory, Khalifa stood by her father's side, her heart filled with a sense of accomplishment and hope for the future. She had taken down a man who had caused so much pain, and in doing so had restored her family's honor and her own dreams. The ultimate payback had been achieved not through violence or supernatural means, but through the power of truth, justice, and the unwavering determination of a young woman who refused to let her dreams be stolen. And thus, Khalifa's name was etched into the annals of Jakaranda's history, a symbol of bravery and justice. The village thrived, and the lessons learned from Khalifa's journey were passed down through generations, ensuring that the spirits of resilience and integrity continue to guide the people of Jakaranda. Did you enjoy this tale? If yes, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming stories. And let me know in the comments what you like most about the story. I will be happy to hearing from you and answer to your comments. See you in the next story. Bye bye.